Wait 1 second. We'll go here quickly, and I'm going to show you this update here where they say Tennessee news photographer taken into custody at Megan Boswell's sentencing hearing. And so they said, Bluntville, Tennessee, a local news photographer was taken into custody, during a sentencing hearing for Megan Boswell on Thursday morning in East Tennessee. According to other news outlets at the hearing, a photographer with WJHL was taken into custody and had their camera confiscated for allegedly showing the jury during a live feed. No other details have been released in this incident. The sentencing hearing resumed after the incident. We're going to watch that now with that little bit that we missed. And they said, according to Tennessee courts, media guidelines state that media coverage of jurors during the judicial proceeding is also prohibited. Also, regarding compliance per the court's, media personnel who fail to comply with this rule shall be subject to an appropriate sanction as determined by the presiding judge. Now, if you if you saw earlier, the judge, he just cut the cameras, as we know, and now we know why. Okay, we know that the jury was shown. I have already edited the footage. Please don't panic. Everything is edited for us. Okay. I'm just checking some updates here as well. Interesting. It says WVLT News is going live via a Zoom feed into the courtroom. The jury has reached a verdict. So if the jury's reached a verdict, will we know about it? I mean, we can guess what it's going to be, right? Okay, so this person was arrested. The other person who was arrested was Angela Boswell, right after testifying. Yes, on outstanding warrants. Angela Boswell, this is public record. This is from the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee. And custody details, you could see there, 13th of February 2025 at 11:21 CST. So she was arrested, and it was, let me just see if I can see it on this. I don't think I can see it on this one. Wait, I've got a picture, just stand by quickly. Here, let's find you this picture quickly to show you what the charges were. Thank you to Grizzly Cat for helping me find all this, because I was trying to verify. Angela May Boswell, duty to render aid and give information, and driving while license suspended. So I don't know if she drove herself to the courtroom or what happened there. I'm not too sure. Okay. So you said maybe that's why she looked so nervous. Okay. So there's two huge updates. The camera person arrested. Angela Boswell arrested. This judge is not playing, so I'm not at all surprised that there's no cameras being shown right now. Okay, now I'm going to show you. Thank you to everyone who sent me this WVLT news. What I've done is a combination, because the feeds went all funny because everybody's trying to make sure they don't show that the jury was shown. Okay. And so we're going to watch the beginning of this. Unfortunately, we're grateful for the footage, but it's very low quality here, unfortunately, right? But we want to hear what the state said. So we're going to listen to that. And then as soon as they cut to what the defense attorney said, I was screen recording because I thought that things would happen. Okay, so apparently there was a question for the jury. I don't know. Anyway, let's have a listen to this. And then we'll switch to what the defense said. This was obviously in the sentencing phase. We were watching it together in the verdict watch stream. And so what we saw was pretty much everything until they had to make their final arguments for the state would want to plead to the jury to say, hey, we want you to sentence her to life without parole, and the defense gets their chance to also put up their case and ask the jury to please sentence her to life with the possibility of parole. So let's have a listen here.
That's what was in this hearing today, but anything that you heard in the trial itself. You heard from a few witnesses today talk about Megan's childhood. You're going to get...
Sorry, I just don't want to confuse anyone. Just a crazy Jen says Angela's violation date was back in November. However, for those offenses, her offenses were not from today. It was outstanding warrants for her arrest, and then she was arrested right after testifying. Okay.
Jury instructions on mitigating factors that the defense would like for you to consider. Things like how old Megan Boswell was at the time, Megan Boswell's childhood, the things that she witnessed, role models in her life, etc. But I submit to you that there are a lot of people who have hard childhoods. There are a lot of people who have babies when they're young, and those people do not kill their children. Those people do not wrap their children in blankets and foil and put them in a trash can upside down.
Okay, I've got a bit of a sidebar there. Sorry, the quality, this is just what was uploaded on this news channel. It gets better.
When you look at these mitigating factors, and it looks like they have submitted 11 mitigating factors, I submit to you that lots of people have childhoods like the defendant had. But you heard from her own grandmother that her grandmother and grandfather were stability for her. And I submit to you that just because you have the childhood that you have, and of course we all, you included, have different life experiences, that does not make an excuse for what she did to Evelyn. The defense is telling you that Megan Boswell deserves life with the possibility of parole, which is essentially roughly 51 years in this state, which would mean that Megan Boswell could get out in her late 60s, I believe. I submit to you that Megan Boswell she doesn't deserve that chance. Does Evelyn get the chance when she's 69 years old?
Nope.
To start her life again? She doesn't. Neither does Megan. We are going to ask that you continue to hold her accountable. The state has proven the aggravating factor that Evelyn was under the age of 12 years old and that the defendant was over the age of 18. We have proven that. And that is all the state has to prove. And if you believe that the state has proven that beyond a reasonable doubt, we're going to ask that you return a verdict of life without the possibility of parole.
Thank you, John.
Okay, so now when the defense attorney gets up, thankfully from that moment there I had recorded that for us. So here we go, we've got a better quality one now. And let me just update this. Defense's closing arguments. Obviously they want her to be able to have the possibility of parole, which as they've said, then she would be able to get out by the time she's could. She'll be eligible for parole when she's 69 years old. Miss Kiki said, thank you for all you do, G. Thank you, moderators. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's listen to this one.
General Boswell told you about those mitigating factors. You'll get them in your jury instructions. Spare her life and give her life without parole. If there's anything good can come from this, is that we can all move forward, knowing that you got the verdict that you wanted, and you ended it with the emotion of love and compassion. That's what will be remembered. I hope that's what you did. Don't be remembered for just compounding the tragedy and the tragedy and the tragedy.
That's quite a manipulative sentence, hey? Wow, okay, so you got the verdict that you wanted, but now show some compassion. How about no? A baby was murdered. No, right? Oh my goodness. If any of you see updates happening right now with, is the verdict happening, is it not, or whatever's happening, please email me grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com, because sometimes I could just miss it, obviously, in the chat, okay?
So easy to do that. The lasting impression that you give Evelyn, that you give Megan, that you give this community, is that love and grace can still be found with all of us. And we ask you to give her life. And let her have a chance to come out one day. That's justice as well. Justice for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. General.
Thank you, Judge.
Ladies and gentlemen, your job at this point is to determine whether or not the state has proven the aggravating factor that we alleged. And as General Massengill told you, that was simply related to the age of the child as well as the age of Ms. Boswell. And clearly through her birth certificate, we have proven that aggravating factor. So then your job will be to weigh the mitigating factors that the defense has put on for you against that aggravating factor, which we have met our burden of proving. Mr. Horns asked you to end this case on the right note, and they would agree. You should end this case on the right note, and you should show Megan Boswell the same compassion and grace that she showed Evelyn.
Now we're talking.
Evelyn wasn't shown any compassion. She wasn't shown any grace. You know, the one person that Evelyn should have been able to rely on to protect her, keep her safe, abandoned her, discarded her. She doesn't deserve your passion, your grace. State asks that you weigh the aggravating factor that we've proven in this case, the fact that Evelyn Boswell, at the time she was dumped in a trash can, wasn't even 13 months old, never had a chance. We ask that you return a verdict we've requested of life without parole.
Thank you, General. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've got...
Okay, so now it would be the jury instructions as well. You guys are saying the following, Court TV, but make sure that we're not talking about the verdict from earlier, right? We're talking about the sentencing verdict. There's two verdicts today. One is for the verdict, obviously, for is she guilty or not? Yes, guilty on all counts. Please send me a link to whatever it is that you're watching so I can check it. Don't tell me in chat. Janine Sage said, love your coverage, especially the documents. Thanks for supporting the victims. Thank you so much. So remember, whatever you're seeing, whatever you're finding, send it to me on email, all right? Okay, so what we're going to do now is watch the jury instructions, which was right before they went to lunch and to deliberate, okay? So here we go.
Another set of instructions I've got to read to you. In the criminal court for Sullivan County, Tennessee at Bonneville, State of Tennessee versus Megan Boswell, defendant. Case S72869. Jury instructions. Fixing punishment of life imprisonment or life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Members of the jury, you have now found the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of first-degree murder in the perpetration of a first-degree murder as charged in the first count, and first-degree murder in the perpetration of a felony as charged in the second and third counts of presentment number S72869.
So quiet, I thought it froze. Okay, jury instructions.
It is now your duty to determine, within the limits prescribed by law, the penalty which shall be imposed as punishment for these offenses. Tennessee law provides that a person convicted of first-degree murder and first-degree murder in the perpetration of a felony shall be punished by imprisonment for life without possibility of parole or by imprisonment for life. A defendant who receives a sentence of imprisonment for life shall not be eligible for release until the defendant has served at least 51 full calendar years of such sentence. A defendant who receives a sentence of imprisonment for life without parole shall never be eligible for release. In arriving at this determination, you are authorized to weigh and consider any of the statutory aggravating circumstances proved beyond a reasonable doubt, and any mitigating circumstances which may have been risen by the evidence throughout the entire course of this trial, including the guilt finding phase or sentencing phase or both. The jury is the sole judge of the facts and of the law as it applies to the facts in this case. In arriving at your verdict, you are to consider the law in connection with the facts, but the court is the proper source from which you are to get the law. In other words, you are the judges of the law as well as the facts under the direction of the court. The burden of proof is upon the state to prove any statutory aggravating circumstance or circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt is that doubt created by an investigation of all the proof in the case and an inability after such investigation to let the mind rest easily as to the certainty of your verdict. Absolute certainty is not demanded by law, but moral certainty is required, and this certainty is required as to every element of proof necessary to constitute the verdict. The law makes you, the jury, the sole and exclusive judges of the credibility of the witnesses and the weight to be given to the evidence. The defendant has not taken the stand to testify as a witness during the sentencing hearing, but you shall place no significance on this fact. The burden is on the state to prove any aggravating circumstance or circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt. She is not required to take the stand in her own behalf, and her election not to do so cannot be considered for any purpose against her, nor can any inference be drawn from such fact. Statutory aggravating circumstances. Tennessee law provides that no sentence of imprisonment for life without the possibility of parole shall be imposed by a jury, but upon a unanimous finding that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of one or more of the statutory aggravating circumstances, which shall be limited to the following. 1. The murder was committed against a person less than 12 years of age, and the defendant was 18 years of age or older. TCA 39-13-204I1. Members of the jury, the court has read to you the aggravating circumstance which the law requires you to consider if you find proved beyond a reasonable doubt. You shall not consider any other facts or circumstances as an aggravating circumstance in deciding whether imprisonment for life without possibility of parole would be the appropriate punishment in this case. Mitigating circumstances. Tennessee law provides that in arriving at the punishment, the jury shall consider, as previously indicated, any mitigating circumstances raised by the evidence, which shall include, but are not limited to, the following. 1. The defendant has no significant history of prior criminal activity. 2. The youth or advanced age of the defendant at the time of the crime. 3. The defendant experienced an unstable and chaotic home life as a small child and teenager. 4. The defendant witnessed domestic violence and physical altercation between her parents in the home. 5. The defendant witnessed her parents participate in drug use and abuse.
Please focus, guys. We've got 5 minutes left of this, and then we're going to watch the sentencing, okay? Listen to what the aggravating factors were, the mitigating factors, what the jury had to consider, and then we're going to watch the sentencing. So just be calm. Thank you for being here. Please like and share.
As a child and teenager. 6. The defendant experienced numerous school transfers during her academic career. 7. The defendant's primary positive role model and protector died when she was 12 years of age, or 12 years old. 8. The defendant had only limited access to positive family influences throughout her life. 10. The defendant participated as a caregiver to her handicapped brother and younger sister. 11. Any other mitigating factor which is raised by the evidence produced by either the prosecution or defense at either the guilt or sentencing hearing. That is, you shall consider any aspect of the defendant's character or record or any aspect of the circumstances of the offense favorable to the defendant which is supported by the evidence. The defendant does not have the burden of proving a mitigating circumstance. There is no requirement of jury unanimity as to any particular mitigating circumstance or that you agree on the same mitigating circumstance. Verdict: life imprisonment or life imprisonment without possibility of parole. If you do not unanimously determine that a statutory aggravating circumstance has been proved by the state beyond a reasonable doubt, the sentence shall be life imprisonment. You will write your verdict upon the enclosed form attached hereto and made part of this charge. The verdict shall be as follows. We, the jury, unanimously find that the punishment shall be life imprisonment. If you unanimously determine that a statutory aggravating circumstance has been proved by the state beyond a reasonable doubt, you shall, in your considered discretion, sentence the defendant either to imprisonment for life without possibility of parole or to imprisonment for life. In choosing between the sentences, of imprisonment for life without possibility of parole and imprisonment for life, you shall weigh and consider the statutory aggravating circumstances or circumstance proved by the state beyond a reasonable doubt and any mitigating circumstance or circumstances. In your verdict, you shall reduce to writing the statutory aggravating circumstance so found, and you shall return your verdict upon the enclosed form attached hereto and made part of this charge. The verdict should be as follows. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has proven the following listed statutory aggravating circumstance or circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt. Here lists the statutory aggravating circumstance or circumstances found. You shall then indicate on the enclosed verdict form either we, the jury, unanimously agree that the defendant shall be sentenced to imprisonment for life without possibility of parole, or we, the jury, unanimously agree that the defendant shall be sentenced to imprisonment for life. The verdict must be unanimous and signed by each juror. I've got verdict forms for you.
Nice. 2 minutes, then we're skipping. We're going straight to the sentencing. Can you guys hang in there? Are you able to?
Okay. I have verdict forms for you, and I will read those. Verdict form count 1. Punishment of imprisonment for life. We, the jury, unanimously determined that no statutory aggravating circumstance has been proven by the state beyond a reasonable doubt. We, the jury, therefore find that the sentence shall be imprisonment for life. Signature line, jury foreperson, signature line for each juror to sign. A date with a line. Verdict form count 1 continued. Punishment of imprisonment for life without the possibility of parole or imprisonment for life. We, the jury, unanimously find the state has proven the following statutory aggravating circumstance or circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt. Check the box of any statutory aggravating circumstance or circumstances you find beyond a reasonable doubt. Check box. The murder was committed against a person less than 12 years of age, and the defendant was 18 years of age or older. Below, check one box only. Check box. We, the jury, unanimously agree that the defendant shall be sentenced to imprisonment for life without possibility of parole. Or check box. We, the jury, unanimously agree that the defendant shall be sentenced to imprisonment for life. Signature line, jury foreperson, signature line for each juror. Date, signature, blank. And the same exact form verbatim for counts 2 and count 3.
Okay.
Take the case, consider all the evidence fairly and impartially. Complete one of the 2 forms for each count. And report your verdict to the court.
Sentencing coming up. Are you ready? Ready, everyone? Here we go. We're going to skip to it now. Okay, let's bring it up here. Oh man, this quality. This quality is quite something. Okay, let's play it.
We release the jury from this case. Any opposition from the state? Defense? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your service. If you go with the officer.
Everyone stand, please.
Oh, I'm going to miss that. Everyone stand, please. Okay, sorry. Where's my picture of Evelyn? Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Boswell, in count 1, the jury of your peers having set your punishment, you'll be sentenced to life imprisonment. In count 2, you'll be sentenced to life imprisonment. In count 3, you'll be sentenced to life imprisonment. We'll have to set this for sentencing hearing where we'll deal with merger, other issues, as well as sentencing in counts 4 through 20. Did she waive the 45 days, Mr. Scott?
She does.
So by the way, if you guys missed the verdict earlier on the guilt or innocence, she was found guilty on all counts, right? So we went over that. And then they went back to deliberate. They left at 12:09 p.m. They came back shortly after 2:20 p.m. So it was just over 2 hours. And so the judge just said on all three of Megan Boswell's first-degree murder convictions, the jury decided on a sentence of life in prison with the possibility of parole. Wow. So this verdict means that Megan Boswell was served 51 years before she's eligible for parole. She's 23 years old now.
Sentencing in this case for May the 8th.
Judge, that is not good for me. I have a murder trial in Carter County the very next month.
It's not good.
May the 8th. So she'll be sentenced on May the 8th.
May the 16th.
Wait, May the
I
16th.
expect the Carter County murder trial. We've got 2 weeks blocked off.
Pencils.
May the 23rd.
22nd.
Mr. I'll be here.
Sentencing.
What's up to the state?
Sentencing will be held May 23rd. Pre-sentence report needs to be filed no later than April the 15th.
Judge, you have May the 22nd. Says the 23rd.
I do.
We'll use that instead.
We can.
Thank you.
That good with the state?
Yes, Judge.
All right. May 22nd.
If any of you were writing that down, did you write it with pencil? Did you scratch it out, write it again? Did you scratch it out, writing again? She's going to be sentenced on May 22nd at 1:30 p.m. Are we going to watch it together? Well, if the judge allows cameras, yes, we will.
We'll say at 1:30.
Yes.
At 1:30 p.m. Report by the Department of Corrections be filed no later than April the 15th. All right. Anything else we need to take up?
Nothing else for the state.
Mr. Horn?
Yes, Judge. I think from this point going forward, since Mr. Scott was primary counsel in this case, I would make an oral motion to be relieved as co-counsel on behalf of Megan Boswell
All right.
going forward.
You'll be relieved. You were appearing as co-counsel pro bono.
Yes, Your Honor.
The court thanks you for your service.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Nice,
Court
okay.
will be recessed till Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. for the next trial.
Thank you, Judge.
For the next trial, can we see it? Can we see the next trial? Because we won it. Warrior Sunflower says, thank you for your for compassionate coverage, G. Thank you. Thank you all for, well, I can't thank you all for being patient. Some of you were definitely not being patient. You rolled in here and shared all the spoilers that we're waiting to watch together for the first time as a community, right? Baby Kisses says she'll come out worse than she came in. So what do you think about that? Huh? So on count 1, life. Count 2, life. Count 3, life. Life with the possibility of parole. So adding all of that up together. Thank you to everyone who sent me emails. Okay. So the verdict means that Megan Boswell will serve 51 years before she's eligible for parole, which would mean she would be 74 years old when she's able to have her parole hearings, which is quite something. Those are also very sad for the families. I mean, for the families of the victims, of course, shame. And Evelyn was 1-year-old. Can you imagine whoever could be there at a parole hearing and convincing the board, please don't let her out. She killed a baby, threw the baby in the trash, right? Someone says, Carrie Parrish says 50 years is half a century. That's a lot. That is a lot, right? Okay, so Kevin Gardner said, due to having no prior convictions and being younger than, under 18, she won't go to jail for life without parole. Interesting. So because of her age at the time of the crime, she was not, they did not pursue the death penalty against her, and she will not get life without parole. Mark Wetherill said, don't forget, parole is by no means guaranteed when the time comes around. Yes, absolutely. It just means eligible for parole. And very often we see multiple parole hearings before anyone is ever even released. So yeah, when she's 74 years old, how old will we be? Are we going to be here, you guys, in 51 years? Let's do it. And then we watch that together. Oh my word, can you imagine? Just for Funzy said, getting out at 75 years old is a joke. I mean, come on. Can you imagine how much life would have changed by then? For all of us, but especially if someone's like in prison, right? So, okay, so she's going to stay in the Sullivan County Jail then until such time as their sentencing, which is set for May 22nd at 1:30 p.m. I won't be shocked if the judge does not allow cameras in the courtroom, but I really hope that he will. I really hope that he will. I hope that we'll be able to watch it together. So if you're following me for this case, hope you are subscribed with your notifications on, and then I'll see you in May. But just know that I do very similar format, obviously, for trials. It's always deep left, and I cover lots of cases, and we have presentations, documents, map time, all the things that we love here at Grizzly True Crime. Kerry said, in my opinion, she already has a sentence marked down from death penalty, right? I thought, no, she already got mitigation, but hey, I also know often prisoners don't, live long inside. That's the other thing, because she harmed a baby. I wonder what life is going to be like for her in prison, all right? Susan says, still going in 2076. Grizzly True Crime, OG, is still there in 2076. I look forward to it. I hope you will be. I think that justice was served in this case. I think that the jury got it right. In my opinion, guilty on all 19 counts. I think they got it right. Remember, it was 20, and then they dismissed one of the charges during the trial, so it became 19. It was 20, and then it became 19, right? Terry says, will we get our certificate? Yes, I always post those on Patreon. I always post like a trial completion certificate. I still owe you the Jason Chen one though on Patreon if you guys are interested. Stefan says, okay, you're 2071, write it with pencil in your planners. Yes, please, everyone. Yes, please. Okay, so the other thing is that she would also, they normally credit the time that she's already served, and she's already served 5 years. So you know what? We're going to have to recalculate. So if she's 23 years old, okay, that would be -5, so she'd be 69. That's why the defense said 69 years, because she's going to get credit for the 5 years that she's already served. So it'll be 51 years from now that she's eligible for parole, minus the 5 years already served. Stefan, you are right to write it in pencil. Now, let me quickly have a look if there's I just want to see if there's any other updates. So I updated you if you're only joining now. Number 1, the camera person was arrested. Apparently, the judge told him, get yourself a lawyer, and I think he's going to be sentenced. There's a court date for him in the same courtroom on March 7th of 2025 for the camera person who showed the jury. Okay, I read to you what the violation was. According to Tennessee courts, media guidelines state that media coverage of jurors during the judicial proceeding is also prohibited. Also regarding compliance, per the courts, media personnel who fail to comply with this rule shall be subject to an appropriate sanction as determined by the presiding judge, and that camera person's camera was also confiscated. So that's number 1. As soon as Angela Boswell finished testifying, which is Megan Boswell's mother, she was arrested on outstanding warrants from 2024. So I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe all the news that was happening while we were just on a break, right? We were all waiting for the sentencing. That's quite something. So I think we've pretty much caught up now. I'm just going to do one quick check on X, because there's always breaking news over there. Hold on one second. Let's just see what the latest is. The latest, Tennessee versus Megan Boswell, life with the possibility of parole. Sentencing came back. Megan won't get out of prison until she served at least 51 years, -5. Wendy says, I'll be 94. I'm good. I hope you saw also the picture on my thumbnail. Thank you, Grizzly Cat, for the picture. Grizzly Cat spends a lot of time making these beautiful pictures, finding pictures of Evelyn and just making them pretty, like editing them and everything. So thank you so much. Look at this picture. Just look at it. Shame. She would have been 6 years old now, Evelyn. I think the state did a good job of highlighting that in the opening statements, that she would have been 6 and all the things that she could have been doing right now, right? Okay. So, I'm just checking what else you're saying. Thank you. There's Grizzly Cat. Thank you so much for all your help, for all the pictures and everything. So, isn't that just the sweetest picture? All right, everyone. Well, I can't believe we're done with the trial. I don't like it. Why are we done already? We were ready to settle in for our Friday and Saturday court, and now what? Don't worry, there's always so much crime that, unfortunately, to talk about. There's so many cases, there's so many things that we will meet for, so make sure you are subscribed, notifications on, and I will see you again very soon. Leave your comments below as well. I always look forward to reading them. And again, thank you to everyone for all the support. Thank you for supporting the mods with the Buy Me a Coffee, right? I'm going to put the link in the chat quickly now, because they're here volunteering their time for many hours a day. And thank you for helping me spoil them, right? So for for the coffees, for me for the coffees, the PayPals, and just all the ways that you guys support the work that I do. And thank you. If you are part of the 1% of my audience who's made it over to Patreon and is supporting my work over there, thank you so much. I hope to see you on May 22nd for the sentencing. In the meantime, stay safe. If you missed anything throughout this trial, everything is time-stamped for you, okay? And then I will see you again very soon. Okay, bye everyone.